Hello all you crazy people out there, my name is Dragonite and welcome back to Harvest December. I can sense her. At first, I didn't believe Yuki's claim, however... Again? Again. Yuki and I got up from our futons. In her room, built in a traditional Japanese style, had air conditioning on low. In March? I was to stay with her for the duration of babysitting Ren so we could both tend to Ren's needs during the night. I shouldn't have taken the job, I muttered under my breath. I was regretting my choice now, but it was too late to get out of it. We looked at each other. Even with the lights out, it was easy to know what Yuki was wearing a face just as tired as mine. Ren began to cry again, so loudly it was drowning our sights. I too could now sense Ren when she was in need. Ren, please don't cry, Yuki said quietly. She looked exhausted. She walked to the corner of the room where Ren's cot was and picked her up to rock her in her arms. Ren cried loudly. Louder. Please, Ren, I need some sleep too. But Ren didn't listen. She kept screaming, angry she had woken from her sleep. Her cries grated on our nerves. I said stop crying! Let me have her. Yuki was at breaking point. I took Ren off her arms, anxious to take her away before Yuki started yelling. I thought you said it was your dream to have a baby. I hugged Ren to my chest and carried her to my futon. I knelt down and began patting her back rhythmically. She struggled at first, but I kept patting her gently. Ooh, ah. Gradually, she was lulled by the constant patting. Her eyelids grew heavy, and eventually she nodded off. In her sleep, her small hand still clutched at my shirt. I'll take care of her. You get some rest. This wasn't what I expected. I kept patting Ren's back. Yuki stood still, staring down at the empty cot. She looked dark, like a shadow puppet. So this is reality, is it? You're just tired. I adore Ren, but I want to do the best I can for her, but she rejects me and chooses to behave better with you, when you don't even care about her at all. Ren was snoring softly now. We could hear her thin child breaths coming from every corner of the silent room. Her resting face looked perfectly peaceful. I'm not doing anything wrong, am I? Yuki asked listlessly. I didn't answer. Why? Why doesn't she accept me? You shouldn't expect her to communicate with you at that level. There you go again. You're talking as if she's some kind of object. Ren isn't old enough to understand acceptance or rejection. She doesn't make decisions like that, but she just reacts to show whether she's happy or not. You may not like it when I say this, but you could say she's a simple life form now. Ugh. Even your words. She doesn't understand what you're saying. She only reacts by instinctively deciding whether what you said was good or bad for her. So no matter how much you try and explain, it's pointless. You only need to tend to her needs and show patience. That's just what you think. I speak from facts. Are you saying I'm a bad mother? I'm saying you've never been one. You're a jerk. She understood what I was saying, but her opinion was different from mine. We were sparring verbally, but the problem lay in a place where words couldn't describe. But words were all I had, so I continued. Yuki, we're just people hired by Inuki-san to babysit while she's away. It's not as if she's asking for anything more. It's alright to ask for help, even from Mashiro-san when you need it. No, Inuki-san's counting on me, so she put Ren in my care. She said she didn't think you were capable. Ugh. I wasn't sure I had crushed Yuki's arguments with that. She said I would learn why in time too. And now I understood what she meant, I added. You're imposing your affection on Ren, but that isn't what she wants. I studied her silhouette from behind, trying to figure out how she felt now. A baby constantly wants security, but is also constantly trying to expand its world at the same time. Those two needs contradict each other. It's easy for them to expand their world. Just by staying conscious, they receive loads of information by the second. I brushed a hand across Ren's cheek. The difficult part is providing security. That's our job. For Ren, your love isn't a part of that, but just information, another expansion of her world. To her, you're someone that expresses her ideals and emotions in a form called love. That's how she perceives you. Just like you, Yuki whispered bitterly. I'm trying so hard, but it's not reaching her. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Do you hate Ren now? Never. She turned around. I couldn't see her face. It was only overshadowed with the moonlight behind her. I just hate the reality of it. I suppose you would. What should I do? I don't have an answer from you. I patted the futon next to me. Come on, get some rest. I looked at her, searching for her eyes, but I couldn't see them because of the heavy shadow cast upon her face. Perhaps it was for the better, I was right the first time, since she could have been intrusive of me to discover what expression she wore. Yeah. Since it could have been intrusive for me to discover what expression she wore. Although I couldn't see her face, I could feel the weight of her emotions. It was complex, yet blurred at the same time like an impressionistic painting. She got quietly into her futon and covered herself to the top of her head. I took Ren back to her cot and placed her back inside. I didn't return to my futon. Instead, I yelled next to Yuki and began patting her with a steady rhythm. Masaki, just go to sleep. Pat, pat. I kept patting her on her futon, just the way I did when I was patting a crying baby to sleep. Yuki peeked out from her futon a little to study my face. She watched me for a while, but she soon dozed off, exhausted. I know you're doing your best, I whispered. I knew it was something she wanted to hear when she was awake. If she heard me, I knew she would find some salvation in my acknowledgement. But at the same time, she would feel like a complete failure, so I kept quiet. It wasn't my style to encourage something I didn't agree with. Finding salvation had some similar qualities to being invaded. It took something away from the situation. It replaced an emotion with something else. I didn't want to attack Yuki by forgiving her. It was also my way of defending myself. I listened to the two breathe quietly in their sleep. Finally, a moment of peace. To be a mother. Alright, again, I'm going to keep going because that wasn't terribly long. That was only, 6 minutes? About? That's a telephone! Alright, pretend that never happened. Ren looks quite comfortable with you now. Sune poked Ren's cheek as she rested against Yuki's breast. Oh, I thought Sune was resting against Yuki's breast, but no, that's Ren. It was the 6th day into babysitting Ren, and Mizuho and Sune had come to pay a visit. Being the only male here, I was feeling a little uncomfortable. That's incredible considering that she wouldn't stop crying whenever Yuki held her before. Mizuho made a face at Ren. She gurgled and laughed in response. You know, I'm glad she finds that funny, but I also feel a bit offended because she's laughing because I have a weird face. Whatever makes Ren happy. Yuki was holding Ren close to her heart the way I did. Hey, I know. Hey, husband, Yuki's a husband, pay attention. I'm not her husband. I lifted my sleepy head. I am paying attention. I saw Ren being pleased when you have a funny face. You've been looking so sleepy lately, Misaki-san. It's because of Ren. She cries a lot at night, and it takes time to put her back to sleep. You volunteered to calm her down. Only because you can't do it. It's not like I'm complaining about it, just stating the facts. I don't like the way you say that. Yuki tilted her body forward towards Ren. Oh, so you guys divide your chores? I was expecting the two of you to fall into a no, not here, the baby's watching kind of hanky-panky situation. Of course not. Damn it, now she's got me imagining things. Sune studied me and Yuki, looking thoughtful. Misaki-kun, do you think you're doing the right thing? About what? Sune kept quiet. From the hard look on her face, I could feel that she knew I understood what she meant. I think I'm doing the appropriate thing, I answered. I wasn't convinced that I was doing the right thing, but I thought I was handling the situation as it needed to be handled. At least Ren wasn't crying uncontrollably anymore. Besides, who's ever convinced they're completely right? There is always reason for doubt. Sune? What is it? Her stony expression caused me to ask her. When Sune was quiet, she was passing judgment like a grand jury. Yuki, are you alright with it? Huh? What's everyone talking about? It's appropriate. Yuki put a palm over Ren's head. Ren was clutching hold of the ends of her aori. The meta doesn't give Ren security, Yuki explained with a tight smile. That's why I'm learning from Masaki. It's a mother's job to show patience and provide. I see, Sune nodded. It wasn't a good answer. I glanced at the clock on the wall. It's about time. What? Ren began to squirm in Yuki's arms. She's gonna cry. It's time for her food, Yuki said calmly. By now, she had gotten used to it and didn't make a big fuss. However... Well, where's the hot water? We don't have that bottle. Both me and Yuki were terrible when it came to irregular situations. I'll go get it. After spending close to a week here, I had the map of the Tawada residence, which was as large as a track field, etched in my head. I headed towards the kitchen, gathered the baby formula and bottle, and placed it on a tray. Just as I was making my way back... Hello. How are things going? Mishiro Tawada stopped me. Sune and you should be more specific when you ask questions. I said, how are things going? Appropriately, at the moment. At that moment? At the moment. At the moment. Is that so? If you have a problem, why don't you just voice it out? The baby must be hungry now. You're the one that stopped me on my way. I walked away from her. This time, she didn't stop me. That's like the first time ever, right? I opened the door with my foot since my hands were full. I've got her some milk. But you can't, you don't have the ability to. Wait, don't tell me you actually can. Adaptation, that's unexpected. Or is this practice for what's to come in the future? I froze at the scene playing out before me. I know this isn't what you want, but until we can get your food... Yuki had the front of her kimono open, offering her breast to Ren. I'm not sure if it works like that. Whatever. Ren sniffed once as if to make sure it was what she thought it was, and put her mouth to it. Ow! Yuki shut her eyes and shivered once. I'll get the milk ready as soon as possible. I quickly opened the bottles on the tray. By now I was so expert at making formula I could do it with my eyes closed. I fixed up Ren's milk bottle on autopilot without looking away from the two. I knew what Yuki was doing was meaningless. It was an action she had taken as a desperate measure. It wasn't as if Ren would have her stomach satisfied, but I couldn't disregard what she had done either. They were simply giving and receiving. I'm sorry, Ren. This is the best I can do for you now, Yuki whispered. Ren kept sucking hungrily. It wasn't appropriate, but it was right. That's so unfair, I muttered. Yuki muttered. That's so unfair, I muttered. Yuki was mimicking just what a mother would do. By doing that, she was able to provide Ren a sense of security. I guess even if nothing happens, the baby's gonna be happy. Sort of. I grimaced and stood up with the milk bottle in my hand. Yuki, here. Thank you. I'm glad they just used the stock image there on the top screen, otherwise I would probably have to censor something. You know, YouTube and all that. She smiled. She pulled Ren away from herself and the baby clutched at her kimono. But as soon as the milk bottle was pressed to her mouth, she began to suck hungrily. She must have been really hungry. Yeah. Wow. Motherhood seems so far away from me. Hey! What's the matter? Masaki-san, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? Because of Ren. Yuki, hide it! Hide what? That! Sune whipped out a finger to point. She was pointing towards Yuki's breast. Oh, that's right. We've got the milk now, so there's no need for this. There's no need for this. Okay, Yuki and I nodded happily at each other. And then the reality set in. Sorry! I ran out of the room and slammed the shoujo door shut. Okay. I took a few deep breaths to calm myself down. Why? Why did I just stay there? Why didn't I register? It was so natural for him to be there. He was looking, I didn't realize. Yuki dressed herself. Misaki, you can come in now, she called out. It was as if they were family, Mom and Dad. Mizuho and Sune... What did Sune do? Mizuho and Sune nodded to one another. Then Sune's expression fell. Alright, come on, close the log, thank you. I just wish everything would be over without conflict, she whispered. When is anything in the story ever over without conflict? Anyway, I'm gonna end this off here. My name is Dragonite. I hope you all enjoy that, and I will see you all later.